Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Wildlife Conservation Society. Good afternoon. Can I help you?
Oh, hello. Yes, I'd like to join, please.
Oh, yes, certainly. I'll just get some details from you. Could I have your name?
Michael Jones.
Right. And can I ask where you heard about us? Was it in an advert, or did a friend tell you, or...
Neither, actually. It was a radio program. Then I just got your number from the phone book.
Oh, right. Now I need some membership details. It's Michael Jones, and the address?
21 Beale Street.
Okay.
Leeds.
Fine. And do you know your postcode?
Yes, it's LS14 2JW.
Okay. And do you have a daytime telephone number we can contact you on?
Yes, you can call me at work. The number's 011 73 58642. And I can give you my office email address if you like.
That'd probably be useful. Yes, please.
It's mj@hennings.co.uk.
Is that HENNINGS?
That's right.
Thank you. Now, I just need to ask you some questions about exactly what you want. First of all, how long do you want the membership for? We do 2, 3 and 5-year memberships, and we also do one for life.
I think I'll just get the minimum length this time round.
Fine. And then the type of membership. We do single, joint or family, which covers up to 4 children.
Well, we haven't got any children. But I think I'll get the joint one because my wife will probably want to do the activities with me.
Yes. Fine. Let me see. That'll be £49 altogether then, please.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10 on page 2. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
How would you like to pay?
By direct debit?
No problem. I just need your bank details. Can you give me the name first?
It's the Union Bank.
And now I've got your name, but I need your account number.
01 05 9612.
Okay. When would you like to start payment? Next month, on the 1st of October, or...
Can you make it the 15th instead?
No problem. The membership will begin then, too. Is that all right?
That's fine.
I'll just give you a reference number in case there's any problem. Have you got a pen?
Yes.
It's JYZ37. And we'll be sending you an information pack within a few days. Is there anything else?
Oh, yes. Could you send me an additional one? I've got a friend who's very interested.
Certainly, no problem. I'll make a note of that. There's also a video we can send you if you like. There's no charge.
Yes, please. That'll be great.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 2. You will hear a manager talking to company employees about moving to a new office building. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16 on page 3. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Thank you for coming to today's meeting, everyone. I'd like to give you some information about moving to our new office building so that you know what the plans are. So, first, let me explain why we're moving. Even though we've taken on quite a few new employees over the last year, we still have plenty of space here, but the problem is where we are. But we've now found the perfect place in the city centre. Originally, we chose this building in the suburbs because the rent was much cheaper, but our clients aren't always keen on coming out here. I visited the new office last week, and I'm pretty sure that you'll find the greatest advantage is the huge windows. I'm not sure we'll need desk lamps at all. Of course, we'll have everything checked out to make sure we can control the temperature of each office, and we may have to put some room dividers in some offices so that you're not disturbed by your colleagues' conversations. We've just set a date for the move. The finance department wanted us to wait until after the end of the tax year, April, but we've decided to move earlier. As soon as the sales conference is over in January, we'll move. That'll give us plenty of time to organise everything before you start taking your annual holidays. We've already put quite a bit of information about the move on the company website, like restaurants and cafes around the new office, but we're still checking bus routes and things like that, so transport information will be up by next Monday. Another thing still to get confirmed is which car park we can use and how many people can use it. OK, let's move on to some practical things you have to do now. Don't worry yet about taking home your photos and things like that. That can be sorted out much nearer the time, along with getting rid of any unwanted paperwork. We need to find out how many new desks and chairs to order, so could you make a list of any of the ones you use that are scratched or broken? Just one thing, all documents containing non-confidential information can go into the general packing boxes, but when it comes to documents containing confidential information, you'll need to put these in special bags. You'll be given grey plastic ones for this. So one thing to do now is go through your filing cabinets and identify which folders are confidential.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20 on page 4. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Now, to help you prepare for the move, I'd like to talk about lifting heavy things. You shouldn't really have to do this because a removal company will be used, but you might want to move a box out of your way or something. It's surprising how often people don't remember to use the handles on the boxes, although they all have them. You've all had the leaflet explaining that you should keep your back straight and your head up when lifting. And it also tells you to stand with your feet firmly on the ground and a little bit apart, so I think that's clear. But the leaflet emphasises the importance of not twisting to the left or right once you've picked something up, and if you're like me, that's easy to forget. I'd also like to talk about papers. If they've been stored for a long time, they can get mould on them, a sort of fungus, and as soon as you start moving them, the fungus gets disturbed. As you know, you can't open the windows in this building, but I suggest you use the gloves that we'll provide. We'll also get some face masks, but we've been advised that these shouldn't be necessary. What you should do is drink 1 or 2 litres of water a day. That's essential. Often the best time to do this sort of work is after your afternoon break, so that you can leave the building soon afterwards. Now, are there any questions?
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3 on page 5. Section 3. You will hear an art history student called Jack talking to a lecturer, Dr. Rubin, about an English artist called Samuel Prout. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25 on page 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Dr. Rubin?
Hello, Jack. So have you chosen which artist you're going to give your presentation on?
Yes, Samuel Prout, the 19th century English watercolour painter.
Right. Interesting choice. I always feel he never quite got the fame he deserved, did he?
No, I think that's true. I mean, I don't think he ever went completely out of vogue, even though tastes and fashions come and go. He was really prolific in his day, but there's never really been a high-profile showing of his paintings. That could have brought him to more people's attention.
Sure. But I think it's remarkable that he achieved any critical success given the problems that he had. Apparently, he was prone to chronic chest infections throughout his life.
Yes, it must have been hard for him, but it seems he had a loving wife and family.
And a strong network of colleagues and supporters.
Yeah, I've been trying to find out what got him interested in painting in the first place. He doesn't seem to have learned the skill from his father, like so many artists of his time.
No, well, I think he painstakingly reproduced other painters' works, essentially sort of schooling himself. And then later on, he actually became an art teacher. How do you feel about Prout's style of painting?
It's interesting how a lot of artists, you can see how their style is developing as their work matures, but not so much with Prout. He seemed to have several on the go all at the same time.
Yes, with others you can say, oh, that must be by so-and-so and painted in around 1820, say.
Right, but not so much with Prout.
Of course, Prout's career had a huge boost when the art critic John Ruskin declared him a great artist.
Yes, but Ruskin's assessment was quite biased, wasn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, Ruskin admired Prout, and he didn't seem to mind the fact that many of his paintings showed more or less the same thing, European street scenes, or that the people in Prout's pictures can look rather wooden and not very lifelike.
For me, his detailing of architecture was too predictable. But for Ruskin, that was where Prout's genius lay.
Well, I guess that's what Ruskin was particularly interested in.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30 on page 6. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
OK, Jack, so your brief was to prepare a presentation to give to the group and show some pictures associated with the artist, each of which makes a key point about their work, OK?
Right. Well, I wanted to start with A View in Germany at Würzburg. It's a detailed watercolour showing a busy market scene with a background of flamboyant detail like in so many of his pictures.
Yes, Basically what Prout had made his name doing so well. It really gives the flavour of his work.
Right.
OK.
There's a painting called Bridge on the Ouse near York, except that experts now think this isn't York at all, but somewhere in the south of England.
Right.
But as far as I know, the picture has never been renamed.
No, that would make cataloguing and researching Prout's pictures more complicated.
And the next one is called Woodland Scene. This one has a signature. It says S. Prout in the bottom left. But even so, experts on Prout say they doubt he actually painted it.
Yes, I remember reading that. The detailing is too clumsy, with the sun not casting shade in the right place.
Exactly. And there's a lot of blue that basically doesn't appear in any other Prout pictures. So it's probably a forgery?
Yes. And what's the next one?
Venice. It's a view from the Grand Canal with some rather grand buildings. They're bathed in sunlight with a sort of picturesque shadow cast by the buildings opposite, which is shown brilliantly.
Lovely use of colour. Prout at his best, I think.
Right. And then there's Entrance to a Harbour.
Right, he grew up by the sea, didn't he?
Yes, in Plymouth. He didn't specialise in seascapes, but this same location with the harbour and the sea also appear in other pictures, showing a range of weather conditions. They don't all have figures like this one, but I think they're really well done.
Right. Well, now you've obviously thought...
That is the end of Section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 4 on page 7.
Now turn to Section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecturer giving a talk to design and technology students about a new device which uses the sun to purify water. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
For many parts of the world today, a lack of clean drinking water is a major problem. In some developing areas, bore water, which is water that comes out of the ground, is the only water available. Unfortunately, bore water may be dangerous to drink because it contains excessive amounts of salts. In recent months, I've been working with a research team to develop a device that will help solve this problem. What we came up with is a solar water purifier, which we have called the SW40. And this device not only makes bore water drinkable, it can even process seawater. In fact, it even passed the rigorous testing standards applied by hospitals to determine whether water is sterile enough for use there. The only problem we do face at the moment is with its manufacturing. The present method involves a process called vacuum forming, which tends to be rather slow. We'd like to change to an injection mode of process, which is much faster, but would cost quite a lot to switch to, around 1 million Australian dollars. There are a number of private companies that are very keen to go into partnership with us over this, but my preferred option would be a global aid agency known as Health International that sponsors projects like ours. It has a long history of working in these areas, and although it may take a little longer to get an agreement, it should mean a better deal all around. So, just how useful is this device of ours? Well, the amount of pure water it is capable of producing each day varies, as the amount of sunlight available varies. However, On a hot day, when the temperature is around about 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, with the sun shining clearly through a blue sky, it produces anywhere from 7 liters per day to as much as 9 liters. Now, most people can survive on 1 to 2 liters per day. So even under difficult conditions, one family could live off one of these devices. So a normal-sized village would require several of these to supply all its needs. Okay, so let's look at the device in more detail. It weighs 8 kilograms and is the size of a medium-sized suitcase. The SW40 has no filters, no electronics, no moving parts, and uses no chemicals. So how does it work? Well, there's a rectangular box with a glass lid on it, and on the edge of the box is a steel frame to hold everything together. And inside the box is a piece of black plastic which is divided up into pockets. You need an incline so the water flows through the device. The optimum is 12.5 degrees to the horizontal, although it can be 1 or 2 degrees above or below that. Impure water is piped in at the top of the box and flows down through the little pockets until they're all full. You then let Mother Nature, in the form of the sun, do its work as it shines through the glass window. It produces infrared light which heats the water. At the same time, ultraviolet light from the sun, or UV as we more commonly call it, is also radiated. If there are germs present in the water, prolonged exposure to this type of light will kill them. Then, as the temperature of the water rises due to the sun's heat, the water vaporizes and condenses on the underside of the glass panel. The droplets of water slowly run down the glass to a collection tank, ready to be taken away for drinking or whatever. So that's basically how it works. Now, what this means...
That is the end of Section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.